I've seen a couple of instances where people got bitter on social media anyway because they saw a friend group they admired and they asked to join and they got ignored. Then they became bitter and began to insult the friend group. If you're new here, my name is Mokwe Fashaki. Thank you for joining. And today on Winning in Life, we're going to discuss cultivating friendships. From the word cultivate, that already sounds like something we are all familiar with. We don't have to be farmers to understand what cultivation means because we all eat food. So to cultivate something, everybody knows you need a seed or a nursery plant, something organic. Then you water the plant, you tend to the plant. By clearing weed, you probably would have to add some nutrients at some point, fertilizers and what have you. Then it grows and you enjoy what you see and you can benefit from it. When you're asked to join people's friend groups, it comes across as though you're trying to benefit from what you haven't nurtured. There are stages to groups forming. There is the teaming, there is the norming, where the culture is formed. The teaming is the group coming together where it's forming. The norming is where what the norms of the group had defined by the members of the group, then the culture they all ascribe to is formed. So what do you intend to achieve when you're asked to join a group whose culture you didn't contribute to forming? What did you see in the group that made you request to join? You saw the interactions in the group. You liked what you see. There's camaraderie. There's companionship. So what is companionship? Companionship is the feeling of fellowship, the sense of belonging that exists between people or among a group of people. Some people think it's a sign of weakness to admit loneliness or to admit that you need a companion. And in many cases, when we talk about a companion, we talk about a romantic partner, which is not really wrong, really, because a romantic partner is that person that often shares the deepest parts of yourself with you. Because companionship is intimacy. There's a limit to the intimacy you could share with different categories of people, but it's expected that your romantic partner knows you the most intimately. Now, how did you come across the word companionship? My very first exposure to the word companionship is from the Bible. When God created humans, male and female, and he formed Adam, Adam had a task to name the animals. And Genesis says Adam went about naming the animals, then he felt some type of way. And when God looked at Adam, God knew that what Adam felt, which Adam probably couldn't even put a name to, was loneliness. So God said, I will make him a suitable companion. And that was where Eve came to the scene. So the lions or the baboons or the dogs or the cats couldn't form companionship with Adam. Why? Because companionship, it's a feeling thing. Feeling is a soulish thing. I would conclude that the soul of a lion and the soul of a man are vastly different things. There is no connectivity in the sense that could give the man intimacy, all things being equal. So that already tells us that the need for companionship is a legitimate biological, spiritual, social need. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And I wouldn't like us to berate or mock people who publicly admit to feeling lonely. There are a couple of us who don't really feel lonely that much, but we all still experience loneliness, even when we enjoy our own companies alone. A while ago, I went to a restaurant with a friend and I enjoyed the menu. So I was trying to return to the restaurant without bugging the same friend. Guess what? They only had reservation for two at the very minimum. At the point where I closed the reservation tab, I felt some type of way. Like I wish I had a friend I could go with because now there's a table for two. They don't have a table for one because it's actually a small restaurant and a table for one is not economically viable for them. There are expenses I've made, like gone on vacations, and I wish it's cheaper to go with someone than to go alone. Those are times where a need for a companion is much more expressed because the people in my life are not available at that point in time, and I cannot just pick them up at my own time and have them be present when I want them to be present. So that's just to lay the foundation that we all experience some sense of loneliness and we all need companionship at different point in time. It's a need. It's not a sign of weakness. The fact that you are some people tell themselves they are logical and not emotional, and I wonder how a logical human being could come to that conclusion, because humans are both logical and emotional. That's why you get upset, that's why you're happy, that's why you express joy, that's why you know when you're offended, you feel things, emotions come into place, and expressing emotional need is not a sign of weakness. Laying that foundation is important for us to address how to cultivate friendships. Because it is no coincidence that people who see emotional needs as weakness are often the ones who complain about being isolated the most. You essentially isolate yourself because everything you need to cultivate a friendship is exactly what you don't want to do. And human beings, again, are largely emotional. Friendship, companionship and friendship is an emotional connection. If you are not emotionally available, human beings will gravitate away from you. It's just a logical thing to do when you become emotionally unavailable to people. So you see why we are beings of logic and emotion together. Now let's take a leaf from agriculture. When you want to grow a plant, you get a seed or a nursery plant. You put it in the ground or in a potted plant. You water it, you tend to it. You probably would clear some weed. And at some point, you might add some nutrients. So what did we start with? We started with something organic. And that's often how friendships start. A friendship is not what you apply to a company to be part of. That's why when you ask people you want to join their friend group, it sounds weird and they look at you as weird, and you most likely get a no. Even when you join, you feel grafted in and you don't truly belong because human connections often take place organically. On dating sites, that's one problem that dating sites have because the parameters are physical and social, where your looks and your pedigree determine who you match with. You could match with someone of similar looks and pedigree, but there's no emotional connection, and people then feel very frustrated and drop off the dating sites. And that's how many of us approach our friendships. On social media in particular, you want to connect with people who have social aesthetics. They are pretty, they go on vacations, they take dope pictures, they look wealthy, and there's no emotional connectivity. It's all superficial. Then people find solace in vices to fulfill or suppress their emotional outcries. So by the foundation already laid, friendships are largely organic in origin. You could meet the person at the grocery store, at the park, at the airport, in church, in school, at work, anywhere. Wherever human interconnectedness occur and people have the chance to collide, you tend to find some interactions form. Let's assume a class of 100 people, 100 fresh year students. All the 100 people don't become friends. You begin to observe them gravitating towards one another. Friendships of 2 or 3 or 4 begin to form. These people could be dissimilar in physical or social attributes, but somehow they're connecting emotionally, they're connecting and they're nurturing the friendships. That's exactly how it happens. So what happens after you've connected with somebody in class, at the airport, at the farm, village market, grocery store, church, wherever? You make contact. That is part of you watering the organic plant that is already in the soil. The connection has been made between the seed and the soil. Now we need to grow it. We need to cultivate it. So you make contact. That's the first step in watering. Many people are so ego-driven, especially in men and women friendships, in this case romantic friendships, where culturally the man makes the first move in many instances. And if somebody moves this distance to you, you signal that you also want them, then you collide. But in some cases, you find somebody moving close to you and this person stays put and expects the person to keep chasing. At some point, this person will get the signal that I'm not wanted here and will step back. And what's surprising is that this person begins to complain. Why did you step back? I think that's very odd. If you want someone, you gravitate towards them as well. It begins to feel like you're exploiting the person, like you're using them when you do not reciprocate the gesture they're showing towards you. At the very least, mirror the affection you see. So you do not just make contact, you want to initiate contact. There is this thing where people begin to count, oh, this person hasn't reached out. Have you reached out? I understand the scenario where you have done the initiation of contact a couple of times and the person never reciprocated. You might want to step back and not reach out for 2-3 days to see if they will initiate the contact. That would help you know if you're bugging them, or if they're using you, or if you're forcing the friendship. So when mutual contact has been established, you begin to build up on the friendship. You create time. People sit on the internet all day and complain about how they don't have time to send a text message to their friend. Unbelievable. The last time I checked, we had 24 hours every single day. You cannot take 2 minutes to text, hey, how are you? You cannot do a voice note as you're walking on the road. Technology has destroyed most of our excuses, that it begins to look as if you do not care when you don't show certain things that tech has made easy for us. You create time. It takes time for bonds to form. Even after bonds have formed, you must nurture and grow them. You must keep investing in them. And all our human interactions are done in time. So by what medium do you expect your friendships to be sustained when you do not work with time, when you do not create time? You're super busy and you expect people to still remain in your life. Now, the formula could work for very exceptional human beings, but for the majority of people, out of sight, out of time creating is out of mind. The communication you send into people you don't make time for is that you do not value them. And people want to be valued. The rational thing to do where you are not valued is to excuse yourself from that environment. So when you create time, be present and listen actively. When you make out, when you agree to spend 2 hours at dinner with your friend, maybe you are cooking together or watching a movie together or playing games together or even gossiping together, that's not the time to start browsing the internet and catching up with the gossip that will always wait for you. You want to give your friend quality attention. What happens when you give people attention? You make them feel respected. You make them feel wanted. You make them feel cherished. Emphasis, cherished. Many people do not feel cherished. And that is what separates companionship from every type of human connection. You feel cherished by this person. Even if the whole world thinks you are a horrible person, you know that somebody cherishes you. That is safe space. So let's say somebody is confiding in you about how they survived a miscarriage that shook them, and you just say, oh yeah, oh okay, oh, it's well, my dear, it's well. Come on. Don't do that, please. If you have ever done that, take your phone, call your friend, tender a heartfelt apology, and make it up with a gift. To your presence, add vulnerability. There's a saying that goes, mourn with those that mourn, rejoice with those that rejoice. When your friend is sharing some good news, demonstrate excitement. Don't just say, oh, you passed, oh yeah, thank God. No. Demonstrate that I'm happy for you. We're celebrating this. When your friend is sharing vulnerability, don't be the one that conceals things. There's a story where 2 brothers, one of them shared his relationship experiences with the other person, and this other person said nothing. The following day, the person who shared his vulnerability received a text message from the person he shared with. It was his wedding invitation. He didn't even know that he ever was in any relationship. Now imagine how that person would feel. I tell you everything about me up till when I hosted you yesterday. Not only did you ever let me know that you are with someone or that you also have romantic experiences, you didn't even tell me you are getting married. I received a broadcast message, just like general public. No. Your friends need to feel special and that you are a safe space. It's called psychological safety. Have you ever observed when people are sharing certain private things with you, they're gauging your eyes, they're trying to read your emotions to see where you are. Is it safe for them to say more? They're trying to gauge, like, how are you receiving it? When you then reciprocate by saying some things that confide in them, they tend to give out more information. Or when you hug them and say, don't worry, I'm here for you. Even the CIA spies are trained to pretend to be vulnerable. They will cook up some stories that also mirror what you're telling them, and that's how they gain your confidence. I'm not encouraging you to cook up stories and lie to your friends. I'm just saying that even deceptive people have mastered the art of being vulnerable with the people they want to gain that trust. How much more you, who want to build friendships with people? You cannot be iron-gated, macho, and expect human beings to come to you. Always remember, human beings are emotional creatures. So now we've touched the essential parts of watering the plant. How do you clear the weed in the art of cultivation? Respecting boundaries. It is possible though with your other groups of friends or your siblings or your family, you're comfortable calling yourselves cockroaches. If you called your friend a cockroach and the person raises an eyebrow or says, no, don't call me a cockroach, your response shouldn't be to accuse your friend of being sensitive. No. Here is how you should take it. By letting you know that they're not comfortable being called a cockroach, they've communicated a boundary to you. You should take it as feedback. My friend loves me but doesn't appreciate being called names that are derogatory. It is a culture that is normal in my other group of friends, but in this friendship, this culture is not wanted. When you do not respect the boundary that person has set, or they don't respect your own boundary, weeds begin to grow in the friendship in the form of conflict. And what does weed do? It chokes the main plant. And that's what happens when you allow conflict fester in the little things. Remember, weed is not a mighty mahogany tree. It's just pesky plants, green things, just taking up space. You want to pull them out as soon as they rear their heads up. So don't be the one that accuses your friend of being too sensitive. When people demonstrate sensitivity towards you, they're showing you what is not allowed around them. It is up to you to respect it, not to challenge their boundaries. Now, we have discussed planting the seed or the nursery plant. We've discussed watering it. We've discussed weeding, removing the weeds, and now adding nutrients. Sacrifice. You must make sacrifice. There are people in friendships they never give to and they're always taking. You really have to demonstrate consideration. I belong to the group of people that believe that consideration is an expression of love, where things as basic as my friend went on a work trip. She's returning late. She'll be too tired to prepare for the following day. So I got a cleaner to clean her home and put a meal in her refrigerator. That's love. That's consideration. Don't be the kind of person that analyzes your friends' pockets and their purses and judge them as having more than you. So that means all what you can do is take from them and never give. If what you can afford is a grain of salt, give it back to them. Nobody likes leeches or parasites. The natural disposition of every living thing is to attempt to kill or shake off a parasite. When people begin to get the vibe that you're parasitic, they will let you go. I used to have a friend whom I thought was going through a tough time for about 2 years, and I would invite this friend over for dinners and all sort of things, and without really thinking about it, at some point it began to register in my mind that this person comes every single time empty-handed and never ever reciprocating the gesture, not saying, "Oh, you're welcome." Just imagine inviting somebody for dinners like twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week for 2 years, and they don't return the favor or return the gesture, not even the favor, just return the gesture or show something or come with something, maybe a bunch of bananas, $4, $2, something. So now imagine now discovering that this person whom you're covering so much because you thought they were going through a rough patch was actually ordering food from vendor apps often. That means they have to give, but they just saw you as a channel to extract from. Of course, the friendship died because nobody likes to be used. Nobody likes to feel exploited. So, with all that we've said, The responsibility now is on you to take pen and paper and audit your friendships. Now, it is easy to hear something and go ahead wondering, I know who this card fits. Nope. What we're doing this year is x-raying ourselves for the log in our own eyes. So the person you will audit is you. What kind of friend are you? What kind of friendships are you cultivating? What value are you bringing into your friend groups? Sit down in honesty and audit yourself. And if you are wanting in any aspect of our cultivation journey, make note on what to begin to do better. The ball is in your court, and I'm rooting for you to have a successful outing in life. Let's talk some other time. Bye.